All right, I'm going to do a read aloud today, and I have one of my favorite books that I own, which is The Adventures of Beekle, the Unimaginary Friend. This is a Caldecott honor. Oh, this is a Caldecott winner, actually, the Caldecott Medal. So remember, this is the award that's given to picture books for having just really good picture book of that year. And it is written by Dan Santat. If any of you guys have read this one before, um, you'll probably know that this here is Beekle. He's an unimaginary friend. What does unimaginary friend mean? We're about to find out. In the opening page before the story begins, we can see lots of kids that have some imaginary friends with them, and we're going to look at these again later, come back to that, but Beekle is all alone. He's the only one without a kid. These are giving clues to the story. I love the pictures in this book. He was born on an island far away where imaginary friends were created. Here they lived and played, each eagerly waiting to be imagined by a real child. I like how they made it look with all those different looking imaginary creatures, all very creative. Every night he stood under the stars, hoping for his turn to be picked by a child and given a special name. He waited for many nights. But his turn never came. How does he look like he's feeling right now? Looks a little worried. His mind filled with thoughts of all the amazing things that were keeping his friend from imagining him. So rather than waiting, he did the unimaginable. Look what he's doing. He made himself a boat. Like I said, I love the pictures. I love how they made this world look. It looks kind of like it's an island, but it also looks like it's in the clouds, and there's this cool dragon. He sailed through unknown waters and faced many scary things. But thinking about his friend gave him the courage to journey on. Until he reached the real world. Does anybody think they know where this city might be? No, it's a port city because there are boats coming in and out. Also, something that I like, the imaginary world was very colorful and lots of cool things and creative things. And this looks a lot more dark, gray, black and whitish, different. The real world was a strange place. No kids were eating cake. No one stopped to hear the music. And everyone needed nap time. Then he finally saw something familiar. So he followed. He had a good feeling about this place. But he looked everywhere, and he could not find his friend. Dan Santat did a really good job of showing motion what's going on with each different part of the picture. We can see he's walking over here, going down the slide, up and around. We see some different imaginary friends with the kids, but he starts to leave. He climbed to the top of a tree and looked out, wishing and hoping his friend would come. But no one came. You can see that time has passed because the leaves on the tree are starting to blow away. He thought about how far he'd come and how long he'd waited and felt very sad. Then he heard a noise below. Hello! There are no words on this page, but you can kind of tell what's probably happening. It's like he's retrieved her picture that might have gotten stuck up where he was sitting. He's giving it back to her. Her face was friendly and familiar, and there was something about her that felt just right. See that picture that she drew? All right, this is one of my favorite pages, but there's lots of different parts, like a comic book, so I'll try to get close to the camera. At first, they weren't sure what to do. Neither of them had made a friend before. But after a little while, Alice, they realized, Beekle. They were perfect for they were perfect together. I'm Beekle. Hi, Beekle. She has given him a name. Beekle and Alice had many new adventures. They shared their snacks. They told funny jokes. I like this one because if you were watching somebody start laughing but you couldn't see their imaginary friend, you would be a little confused as to what they were laughing about. Just drawing pictures. The world began to feel a little less strange. What do you guys think's going on in this picture? What I see is imaginary friends meeting. Looks like this boy, a little nervous, a little shy, has come over to say hi. And together they did the unimaginable. Now that was a whole bunch of friends with Alice, where earlier she was alone and so was Beekle. Now they're surrounded by people and friends. So I like this story because it shows that sometimes it's hard to be by yourself and to just feel comfortable. And I was always shy when I was little, so making friends always took a little bit of time for me. But it also shows how it's okay to be different and it's okay to be alone and, you know, to play with yourself and maybe one friend. And then once you start to feel comfortable, introduce yourself, say hi, make a new friend. I want to show you guys the very, very end, which is kind of like the beginning where we can see all the different imaginary friends. So it's fun to kind of guess what these kids might be like based on what their friends look like. So we have this girl with a jump rope and her imaginary friend is a snake. This guy's got a checkerboard and his imaginary friend is a puzzle. If I was to guess what he likes to do, it would probably be games. This girl with a hat made out of paper, and this bear also looks like he's made out of paper, and he's holding an origami swan. So she might be into origami. He's probably into magic. He kind of looks like he's a gardener, and his friend is a pumpkin. This little boy with the guitar, his imaginary friend looks like a drum, which I think is so cool. And she looks like a swimmer. Here we've got Beekle and Alice, and they're holding a book. But we know that Alice likes to draw, so that makes sense. That she would draw a picture that says Beekle. She's knitting. The cat who likes yarn. Somebody with a kite and a cloud. Sand digger, maybe. Looks like an octopus, something that would live in the water, digging some sand castles. And then this last one is that boy that we saw at the end. And it's a little harder to tell about him. But I think that if I was to have an imaginary friend, I'd probably have a little bit of a mix of a couple things because I like to do a lot of things. I like to draw, I like to play music. So I want you guys to think, if you had an imaginary friend, something that you could draw, make up yourself, what would it look like? And what would it represent about you and your hobbies? Like, if you like to draw, would it be kind of like an artistic imaginary friend? If you like to play video games, would you have an imaginary friend that looks like, I don't know, a TV or a video game controller or something like that? And then if you want, you could even draw it. Like, let's say I was drawing my imaginary friend. I have no idea what it's gonna look like. Maybe I'll do my musical side of me. So maybe there's like, I'm gonna give him big eyes, and I'm gonna give him big ears so he can hear the music, and maybe his stomach is a drum, like that other boy's had a big drum. He has like little arms. I'm gonna give him little drumsticks, and then he could drum on his own stomach, like that. Maybe he's got a tail. His tail could be a drumstick too. Maybe he could like bang his own stomach with his tail like a drum and some feet. Now, I don't know. I just came up with that. It's kind of a silly looking cool guy. But maybe you guys could draw or create an imaginary friend that represents your hobbies. Anyway, I hope you like that story though, because I really like that story. See you guys later.